A very good evening to you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm happy to welcome you to the 174th BSL webinar and the 10th and the final episode of the 5th webinar series, Beyond Court Practice. These webinars are conducted on Zoom platform, and for those who have been unable to register on Zoom, could also join by watching the live stream on the BSL YouTube channel. This webinar series are organized by the Seminars Committee of the BSL, Chairman of the Seminars Committee and the Secretary of BSL, Mr. Rajiv Amarasuriya, whose brainchild the BSL webinar series are, and convener of the Seminars Committee, Assistant Secretary of BSL, Mr. Pasindu Silva, and the co-conveners, Mr. Pandula Vanyarachi, Mr. Oshan Uberatna, Ms. and Devananda, and Ms. Nikinima Pitigava. And I further take this opportunity to thank the President of the BSL, Mr. Salih Piris, President's Council, and the other members of the Management Committee of the BSL for all the support and guidance. Today's episode is with Professor Sampath Punchihewa, Attorney at Law and Dean of the Faculty of Law, University of Colombo, and will be interviewed and introduced by Mr. Chanakya Jayadeva, Attorney at Law. Without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Jayadeva to take over. So, over to you.
Thank you very much, Malit, and good evening and welcome to the final episode of Beyond Court Practice webinar series. This is, like Malit said, this is the 174th of the totality of the webinars we held for the 2 years of time. And today, on this segment of Beyond Court Practice, what we are showcasing is the final one. But last but not least is my introductory statement. That is because the gentleman we have got is a very special guest we have. I've spoke to him on so many different occasions on the national television and different times we had chats with. And he has a lot to share with us because, as you would know, this webinar series is conducted especially for keeping in mind the young junior lawyers and the lawyers who would want to see what they can do in life beyond court practice. That is, qualification is law. You are maybe highly qualified in law, you may be only with attorneys or a degree, but can you really make it great other than by practice, right? That was our theme throughout, and that is the theme that is going to be today as well. So to take, to make a take on an area which we have never dealt into the whole 10 episode series is the area of law in academics. That I'm coining that phrase, but you can call it academic lawyers also. So can you be an academic lawyer and be successful? Can you, is it rewarding? There's so much to talk about on that area. In order to do that, I'm inviting my guest today, none other than Dr. Sampath Punchihewa. Sampath Punchihewa is, as some of you know, the current Dean of the Faculty of Law, University of Colombo. He is a senior lecturer in many areas of commercial law, especially in the intellectual property law and several other areas of law. Sampath Punchihewa has also been a consultant to many UN organs, including the World Intellectual Property Organization and the FAO in different projects. He is currently serving as a member of Sri Lanka's Intellectual Property Advisory Committee as well. His resume goes on to 28 pages, so I'm not going to take time reading that. Let me welcome you, Sampath. Good evening and nice to see you again. How are you doing today?
Good evening, Chanakya. Thank you so much for having me. And I'm delighted. I'm truly delighted to be part of this webinar series. As you rightly pointed out, that the target group is going to be young lawyers, and you coin a new word that is legal academic. Academia.
Was there a phrase like that?
Legal academia. Yeah,
legal academia.
Rightly say that legal academia and legal academics, of course, we can use. That is quite frequently being used.
Sampath, we had lots to talk about, like I was having a chat with you yesterday, as you can recall, in your area as an academic lawyer. But before that, tell me, you have achieved, I think, will it be correct for me to say you are the youngest dean in Colombo Law Faculty?
I have to look at
that up. Yeah, right. Anyway, we see
records, but of course, maybe relatively young. Relatively young, and also maybe one of the young professors in the legal arena, because
Right.
we have very few professors in the legal field, because in Sri Lanka it is, if I'm not mistaken, it's handful of professors in this profession.
Okay. Walk me through how you came into being where you are today, from the time you thought of doing law. First, in other words, if I were to put it, how did law happen to you? Now, if you take my case, I never wanted to do law, right? It was my parents who pushed me into it. How did it happen to you, and walk me through how you came into being here today?
As you rightly pointed out, Chanakya, initially at the very outset, once I finished my A-level, I did not have an idea of reading for a degree in law. Nevertheless, I got the highest from the district where I sat for my A-level. I ranked first, and then I was driven. I was advised to take up law because there are very few people in our society had this exposure. So one of my uncles told me that we must explore this avenue, because everybody else is going to university would be aiming at art stream or management stream. But what about taking up legal education, law, as the subject, the stream for my my education, my higher education, and which was I had a little reluctant, because I thought that it's law, doing law or reading for a law degree is going to be very challenging, because I at that time I learned that the textbooks and all everything, that the reading material will be in English. So I was a bit hesitant, but nevertheless, I had motivation to, because I'm a person of believing things that I can do. If I'm motivated, I have no hesitation to see that that is done. That is one of the qualities that I have inculcated in my life. So if I want to do something, somehow or the other, I do that. So that motivation was the underpinning reason that driven me to the stream of law.
Right. So you came into starting, you straight away went into Colombo University Law Faculty to do your degree, right? And
Yes.
when you did your degree, after that you did your attorneys, obviously. What made you take this academic path? Did you practice something from some chamber or from somewhere and came here? Or how did it roll out from there?
Frankly speaking, Chanakya, I'm not from a lawyer's background. My both parents are farmers, and they were not associated with the legal the families. However, when I stepped into the law faculty of law, the only law faculty in the entire university system, coming under the purview of the UGC. And now today the law faculty is the premier seat of legal education in this country. So when I stepped into the faculty of law way back in 1996, 97 batch, 96. The faculty, the environment, the legal conducive environment that we had motivated me to read for, read the degree with utmost effort. I had the motivation, wanted to do it better. So I ended up with the second class upper on a second LLB ons with the second class upper division. And then I had the Sri Lanka Law College final examination, and I got through that and had my apprenticeship with the former Chief Justice. When he was practicing, if I mention the name also, Mr. Mohan Piris, President's Counsel. Then he's the one who motivated that you would be better going for academia, because I had this ability to explain things in a more lucid, more kind of a way that can be understood by the others. So he's the one who who used to tell me that, Sampath, you should enter into academic path. So that was one of the motivations that I got from the very beginning.
So you went afterwards to do your master's and PhD. You chose intellectual property. You're mastered in various areas of intellectual property. Is there any reason that what you chose? Is it just that you got a scholar and you went and you had to do some area, or you were particularly focusing on a particular area?
Chanakya, at this point, I should mention that I was I was recruited to the faculty in 2001 as a junior lecturer, and then I got the permanent position in 2005. Right, during that time, I was a junior lecturer, and then I got the permanent place in the faculty. I had the motivation to read for a master's degree, and then when I was looking for an area, I had in my undergraduates, I had the teacher, Dr. Indunil Abesekara. She was the one of the influential factor to read for to pursue higher education in IP, because the Madam Indunil was saying us that IP, intellectual property rights, are the future of the nation, and we should promote intellectual property, and it is going to be the currency of the 21st century. So I had that motivation, I had that inclination to do masters in IP. When I was looking for good opportunities, being a lecturer in the state university system, I applied for a scholarship, and then the Max Planck, very famous institution dedicated for the study of intellectual property, is the Max Planck Institute for Intellectual Property, Innovation and Competition. And I, with my academic background and my credential, my academic excellence, the Max Planck Institute offered me a scholarship for my master's degree, that is called Intellectual Property, Masters in Intellectual Property Law, unique program offered by the Munich Intellectual Property Law Center. It is a collaboration between the George Washington University, Washington, DC, Max Planck Institute, Technical University of Munich, and Augsburg University. And degrees was awarded by the Augsburg University. And then from my batch, there were about 28 students, and of these 28, 3 students were offered PhD opportunities based on our results. So I was one of the luckiest person to secure a PhD opportunity at the Max Planck Institute for Innovation and Competition. And then that is the story, that is the real blossom in my academic and my research career. That is because I got this opportunity at the Max Planck Institute, and I got the world-class, renowned researchers. Even Professor Cornish was a teacher. You know, one of the giant in the intellectual property law is Professor Cornish. And then I was taught by the famous Professor Goldstein, the authority in copyright law, and the authority in competition law, Professor Drexel, Joseph Drexel, Professor Strauss, biotech, the best professor, and Professor Keefe, the intellectual property and giant in the US, and the leading scholars were teaching there, and I had the interaction with them, and I was motivated to do my research. And all my research and publications are mostly dealing with intellectual property rights, its interface, competition law, and of course in the field of commercial law.
Right. That's now you mentioned about your brilliant academic inputs you had from other people. and which led you to achieve what you have achieved. Now, let's take this to the audience like we discussed, who are the young lawyers. Now, as you know, it could be our target could be to educate the young lawyers which are in the first 5 years of practice, or who are law students. As you know, Sampath, as a lecturer, now law students are not like our days. They're questioning, they want to work and see practically what they can achieve soon after they come. So they want to focus while they're students as well. So whatever you say might be very helpful to them as well. Now, a lot of people might not have somebody like the senior you had, former Chief Justice and President's Counsel Mohan Pires, who would advise you and guide you on the very right path, because people might not have that opportunity, or people might, not basically not have that opportunity. So let's try to guide them. My question to you though is, if someone may be guided by a senior, or maybe on their own accord, thinking of whether I can be an academic lawyer and be successful, how and at what point should that person start? If I may to elaborate on what I'm saying, soon after attorneys and LLB, should you just start as assistant lecturer or visiting lecturer or whatever position and build your way up? Or should you, like you, go further into deep in end of the studying up to the PhD level, master's level, and then come and start teaching? Or how can they, at what point should they start, and for a young person?
Chanakya, in responding to this related questions, I would say there is no time bar or time limitation to enter into academia, academic profession, right? Because every walks in life can be a good time, right? I would say I would answer this question like this: if you have performed well in your undergraduate studies, right? If you have come out with flying colors in your undergraduate degrees, you naturally stand a good chance to be recruited as a lecturer, should you decide to do so, go along that path. And also we have, Chanakya, the recruitment criteria to the legal academia at the moment is this, the press degree. So if you have gleaned a second class honors degree or press class, you naturally stand a pretty good chance to enter into academia. And also, if you have not done so, you may have second chance. You have completed, when you have completed masters or a PhD, Chanakya, then you would have a second option, or you explore whether academic profession is ideally suited to you in your forward march. So if you want to begin with at the very young age, soon after your undergraduate degrees, bachelor's degree, you can think about it. And if you have not thought about it, then what about once you have at the point where you have completed your master's degree, an LLM, you can think about it. And the further, I think you can also think about, once you have done, if you are a prolific researcher and you have done research, extensive research in the field of law, and having completed your PhD or doctoral degree, then there is another opportunity. So at any milestone in your life, you may consider, you can consider joining the legal academia.
Right. The other question is, now this is, you are talking about how recruitment would happen in Colombo University Law Faculty, the premier law school in Sri Lanka. But there are other institutions, as you know, which teaches law, right? Private institutions, then liaison, I think private institutions from foreign institutions as well as other Sri Lankan institutions. Now, is it the same to go into those institutions? Would you, or things would be different?
Yeah.
If somebody, let me rephrase that. If somebody is thinking of going and teaching in international university because you have international exposure, will starting at an entry level position, right? Will it be the same, or will they expect something different?
Chanakya, it depends. I would think that there are one fact that we should not forget. That is, there is a great demand for educational services. Legal education has a great demand.
Right.
And if you take of all state-run institutions, the law faculty, then we have Peradeniya Legal Department of Law. Jaffna, we have the Department of Law. So is the Open University of Sri Lanka has a Department of Legal Studies. And these are the main places to start your career with. Plus, we have also Kotalawala Defense University Law Faculty. Yeah. That is not coming under UGC, but of course coming under the Ministry of Defense. And now, forget about the state-sponsored, state-funded university. What about private institutions? There are also private institutions because legal academia has a great demand. And it is reasonable because learning law is having a value, great value. I would say it is opening a window for you to choose different pathways. Therefore, it is an investment worth. And I would say, just think about the opportunities that you may have in your life. If you have done law, you will have many opportunities, plethora of opportunities in your way, right?
Right. Now, when you come as a lawyer, teaching a lawyer, can you also, or do you recommend a lawyer who has thought of coming into the academia and started teaching, at the same time work as a practicing lawyer? Why I'm asking that is, if somebody were to do that, okay, you make up your mind like you to come and be an academic lawyer, and then you also think of doing some practice. Will it be not justified in the time you will have to spend in the preparation of your lectures and all that, and will you not be doing justice to your students? If somebody were to divert, it doesn't have to be practice in law, maybe I'm talking of any other profession along with teaching law, because why I'm asking you that for the other reason is that I have seen lots of people who are lecturers who are doing other work, could be practicing, could be doing something else. Is that, in your opinion, is that fair, or it is not doing justice enough to being an academia?
The question itself has different directions. Right. But I would answer that question in the following. Chanakya, law is unique. Legal learning law is unique because you need also practice, right? Theoretical underpinnings, theoretical knowledge alone is not enough, right? Then you might have to blend theory with the practice.
Right.
For that, we need somebody like you, because you know the practice and I know the theory, and the best lawyers in the world can come out from a blend. There should be a blend of practice and theory. I think in a place like the law college, you need a lot of practical insights insights to bring into the discussion. But in the faculty of law, we touch the root, the very basic principles, and we move up to the highest level of critical thinking. So in that sense, my view is that we need to learn the basic principles, case law jurisprudence, and the sources and basic skills in research. Also, you need practical insights. So that is the best way of looking at this issue. And now coming back to your question, somebody is working as a lawyer, practitioner, legal practitioner, and he is not barred from entering the legal academia, because that person can bring in enormous experience. And if suppose that you are a practitioner, you are a senior lawyer, and you have enormous experience in the practice, and when you read a book and you bring in new knowledge blended with the practice, then the student will be at the receiving end, and they will get the best fruit out of your experience. I think that is the ideal situation. In that sense, fully dedicated, full-time academics,
Yes.
plus practitioners, part-time academic, I would say that word, part-time academics can function in an institution like a faculty, law school. And also I should answer that previous question. Now, in joining a private law school is a decision by the practitioner or the academic or the legal researcher. But you know, the threshold of entering into that profession will be decided by that law school, no? Because we being in the state university system, we are following the circulars and regulations issued by the UGC, and similar line of thinking might be there in private law schools. They also think that the best degrees would serve better your student community.
Right. There's another misconception I want to you to clarify for me. There are, like you said, the blended practitioner, people who have gone to the Sri Lanka Law College. Now, as you know, I'm just stand here corrected in international comparison if I make a mistake, but Law College, whatever they give, the 3 years course is what you call in other countries bar exam, right? You're trained to be a practicing lawyer. Now, if somebody who only has a law college exam and practices and also gathers knowledge from a reading abilities and does not even have a degree, does not have master's, anything, would you still recommend, given the interpretation you gave for the modern day lecturer? Now you had a beautiful interpretation. A modern day lecturer has to be a blend of academia plus practical, right? Given that, would you allow under your department for somebody who has only law college on paper but has improved himself not only through practice but by self-made man, as we call it, reading them by themselves, is such a person suitable to lecture?
Lecturing skills should be there, no? In the first place, you should be able to impart knowledge. It is the articulation is important. Plus, Chanakya, if you the lawyers, what is the basic qualification is the attorneys at law, yeah, right? And the person who has attorneys at law is well equipped to teach the subject. But if you want to join the permanent staff or the receive highest consideration, better to have a master's or some other degree, because in the absence of the bachelor's degree, you should think about a master's degree in your career path.
Yeah, you mentioned a very important word when I answering my question, saying to start with, you should have lecturing skills to impart. So other than that, what are the questions I put to all my the people in this webinar series? Because we brought people from different walks of life. We made great in different areas, only with law qualification. In your area, when you recruit a teacher, when you recruit a lecturer, what are the, other than qualification and knowledge, whichever way they have acquired, what are the qualities of a person and the skills of a person you would expect?
Tough question.
Tough.
Because at an interview, we have to first assess the qualifications. If you fulfill the qualification, advertise. Chanakya, qualification in the advertisement, we have to consider the candidate, applicant, and the qualifications and also the performance at the interview. Very important, because you may have press classes, but if your performance is not up to the standard, then any interview panel might not tempt to recruit a person who does not have the skills, the necessary skill set. I would say skill set, and we might also have to look at the other plus points, soft skills, and also attitudes. Sometimes attitudes are important because we are molding the minds of young people. No, we are molding and we are contributing to the great profession of teachers. No? In that sense, isn't it? We might have to also check the attitudes and also qualities. The teacher is expected, you know, the legal profession is a noble profession, and in the similar way, we have to think about the qualities. Qualities are always important because we need to recruit a good quality graduate who can teach well. I think if I answer that way, it may be better, but it is not only the qualifications, but of course we have to be we have to fulfill the required level of competency plus the qualities that you have thought about.
Right. Now, throughout my interviews on this series, when I ask about qualities, the two words that most speakers on this webinar brought up was, you mentioned the word attitude, and they said positive attitude, and also the qualities of leadership. But if I were to rewind to 35 minutes and go back to your answering my first or second question, you said, having come from a background of farmers' parents, what you had was the motivation to bring you to where you are, right? So I have three words here: motivation, positive attitude, and leadership from the other speakers. Can you tell me, how would you define these three words in relation to a lecturer whom you would want to work under your division?
Again,
tough question.
Tough question, and it is also subject to interpretation. But from a very neutral standpoint, Chanakya would like to see whether I can answer these things. Positive attitudes are important, as positive attitudes are the critical factors in every profession. I think it is certainly true for legal profession, legal academia, because if you are not having positive attitudes inculcated in your mind, then you are not suitable to be called a teacher, because you need to train young minds. Otherwise, the person who is of negative minded will discourage and will not positively contribute to the future of that particular learner. I would say the student. That is very important. Positive in the sense we need to see that qualification in that particular lecturer, so particular person's character, no, in person's upbringings.
Right.
And
what kind
second,
Right.
Chanakya, the second one is leadership. I think lawyers are good leaders, I would say. If you just see the best, even in politics, they are emerged from legal profession. So that is one fact. And leadership quality is very important in the academia as well. If you are a real leader, you should be able to guide, should be able to show the path to the future generations. I think leadership quality is another important aspect. Also motivation. Chanakya, I think the secret of mine is the motivation. Chanakya, always you should have abiding interest to learn new things and always be motivated whenever the challenges are. You should be motivated than before and try to achieve your target, because otherwise always there are challenges. Now we had COVID challenges, but did we stop? No, we had online lectures, we had online exams, and if we were not motivated to take up challenges, the same batches will still remain in this final year. We would not have been able to send them to the law college, and they would not have been able to face the exams and enter the profession. So we need motivation, and if there is a motivation, there is a way of achieving that.
Right. So let me little go out of track. So you mean to say during the COVID pandemic 2 years, due to the COVID pandemic 2 years, the law faculty does not have a block of a batch. There's no blockage. You went sail through as usual. So that's wonderful. That's very wonderful news to hear.
Yes,
and congratulations on that. And now I want to ask you another question now. As you could remember, we did interviews on you on subjects of law, different subjects, intellectual property, consumer protection, and so many areas. And those videos which we did for the national television, there's one on the subject of law, and you lectured very well. And some people have told me still that they are watching those YouTube lectures when they want some information or guidance. But you would have also come across in life boring lecturers, right? Preachers, right? Sometimes. So not that preaching is bad, but how would you define a lecturers, a preacher and a teacher? These two different things. How would you, have you seen this in your life like I did in law profession? And if you were to see, how can you differentiate between these two so that, you know, our students who are listening, like you said, they may be motivated somehow, right? But they may be not knowing how to become a teacher. They may just end up like a preacher and not be successful in academia. So if you can define for us, what's the difference between a preacher and a teacher, and say how somebody can, transcend from being a preacher to a teacher, that would help.
Yeah, I think Chanakya, very appropriate question that you raise, because the modern understanding of the legal teaching or legal education is that we must be teachers, but teachers are not supposed to teach everything. You have to show how to do it. And the modern training programs are geared to make good teachers, not preachers, because what is expected in the profession is that we need to show the students the path how they can achieve. And if you are a preacher, then the student will not be able to find the right answer. They may not be able to face the challenges that they face in the future, because whatever you listen will be like memorized and reproduce, and that education would not give the best opportunities. I think the best education should be to show the right path to the student, to the students who will walk their own steps, and we need to guide them properly and let them to walk along that path. then that is the, I think, the role of a modern teacher, right? Because we are not supposed to teach everything, Chanakya. What we should do is give them the skills and give them the basic principles. And it is up to these students to learn, research, and expand the horizons of their knowledge. It is not to spoon feed, because the modern education considers that as a misnomer. Is that true? Isn't it? Did you get that idea?
Yes. Because I remember a colleague of mine who did like you a foreign LLM about 15 years ago. She told me how they taught in US, particular universities, were completely different. The first few days they were foxed.
Another word, information seekers. Like we need to create enthusiasm among students for them to find answers, rather than we telling the answers and ask them to memorize that. That is not the right way of communication.
So, when you come as a teacher or as a professor, lecturer, other than the type of teaching they do according to like in line with what you said, are the same persons who are going to make papers? As in our knowledge, it's the same people who make the papers and do the examinations, right? Correction of papers as well as making papers. So for someone who is coming as a teacher lecturer, is there a different set of skills that person needs to be an examiner in making papers and this thing, or is just being a lecturer, if he has the qualities you said, is that enough?
Simple answer is that a teacher can be a setter, and assessor. Why that is needed, Chanakya? Now, if I teach a particular subject and then you will set the questions, and my expectation was different and your expectation was different. So in that sense, I would say the teacher can set the papers and also assess, because otherwise, but of course, there should be a rubric. Otherwise, we cannot maintain consistency. Rubric should be there according to a marking scheme, marking guidelines. There can be different people assessing, but a teacher can be the setter and also the examiner. But if that norm is departed from, then you need very comprehensive rubric, comprehensive marking guidelines in order to maintain the quality and also consistency.
Will people who wants to come into teaching, Sri Lankan educated people, graduates from your faculty, law college, and all put together, will they equally have opportunities in other countries? Is it something you can think of pursuing in any other country in subject of law?
Yeah, I'm proud about it, Chanakya. If I explain through my experience, I must say that Sri Lankan law graduates are shining anywhere in the world. Now, take my example. And in my class, I had 28 students from all over the world. And from my class, there were 3 opportunities given for PhDs, doctoral studies, and one of them was me. So I think Sri Lankan legal education is of very high quality compared to any other law school in the world. And if you go to US, they would appreciate our system. And also our students get a lot of opportunities in the UK, Australia. If any country would accept our graduates, because we have our education in a very comprehensive manner, value-based education, and robust principle, robust learning culture, conducive environment, and also we are legal education is based on British system, I would say. I'm proud to say that. And because of that inclination and exposure, our graduates will secure best opportunities anywhere in the world. I'm not hesitant to say that. I'm 100% sure that first class or second upper division in your degree, honors degree, would bring you to one of the best schools, best universities in the world.
I remember some advice given to me by actually a friend of my father, was a great politician. I don't want to mention his name. He said, when you become a lawyer, then I was a law student, just becoming a law student. Once you become a lawyer, remember, you can't say you're good and you don't have work and you are not rewarded, right? Why I say that is, as you know, most of us the practicing, whether we are a courtroom lawyer, whether you're a boardroom lawyer, a deed lawyer, one of the reasons what we do is that it is very rewarding to be a practicing lawyer, company, wherever. Now, there is I don't know whether this is a misconception or whether it's a reality. There is a school of thought that teaching law being in the academia is the least rewarding job, right? Is this true, or has it been true and has it changed now? Or what is your take on this?
My take on that is that it is a rewarding, fulfilling, and also very relaxed life. Chanakya, I'm speaking from my own experience. So academia, legal academia, is a promising profession because in not an exaggeration, legal academia is drawing a very handsome, I would say, not as much as a lawyer, but of course it's a decent salary, decent income. And if you want to work extra, you have plenty of opportunities to work on, and you can do a lot of projects also. Your research, if you can write good research proposal, you can secure funding, and a lot of research analysis is needed, right? And the academic profession as such, in my estimation, is a rewarding, fulfilling profession. And I'm very satisfied, I would say contented in joining the academia, because we can explore new knowledge and disseminate new knowledge. And that is the fulfillment in life, I guess. So far, my experience, I have taught, now this is my 22nd year in teaching. My understanding and what I feel is that it's a promising career, having plenty of opportunities, and also you are serving the nation, you are educating the nation. That is, I think,
noble job. Teaching is a noble job.
Noble job, and it is rightly a noble job. Yes.
Now, one of the questions that came up throughout is that, I've been basically asking all my 10 guests, female lawyers, one of the reasons they take up this job is that it's kind of a part-time. Although even if you work full-time, if you're a courtroom lawyer, deed lawyer, you can, once you build a practice, you can do it on your own. You go to court, you have time in the afternoon. And because of that, they like to come into this profession. At least in my times, that's how most female lawyers came in for that as being a reason. The reason is once they get married and then they have children, they need to equally divide time into that job, right? Beyond to the family and the kids and doing a profession, and a profession which is very flexible, like practicing law, you can. Because if you become a career woman as opposed to that, it may be a little bit difficult to bring up a family. Now, becoming a full-time teacher or lecturer in your institution, as you know, you can't just just blurt out what you want. You do research to teach, then you do paper marking, then you do set papers, all that. Is it still a comfortable job for a woman lawyer, full-time lecturer, comfortable job for a woman lawyer? In the sense, can she also manage a family along with that?
Individual experience might be different, but overall, full-time lecturer is more relaxed than a full-time lawyer. I'm 100% sure about that, because you may have to mark papers, you may have to get yourself prepared for the lectures tomorrow, following day. It does not mean that your freedom, your free time is much narrowed, restricted. No, you may have because this is a relaxed profession, because you may at your own comfort read, learn, and also teach. But it is an adjustable, no, because we are not just thinking of 8:30 to 4:30 shift. No, it's a lifelong learning, research skills, and also flexible working hours. No, we of course, as a custom, we have to come to work and work and be in my office place. That's true. Yeah. Now still I'm in my office place, yes. Yeah. But there is also flexibility, certain degree of flexibility in what you do. What is important, what is critical is that you fulfill your task. If you are supposed to do lectures, you can do your lectures. And if you are supposed to mark, leisurely you can mark. And if you want to do research, you have plenty of opportunities, plenty of ample space, and also you have leave. You have different types of leave. And in the academy, I'm saying that after 7 years, you can you can request for sabbatical leave. There's a concept that is to do new research and to find to come up with innovative findings. It is in that sense, I would say that rather than a profession with some set time or some restrictions, the academia is more flexible and having more leeway for the person to manage his or her things according to your way.
Yeah. Now, University of Colombo Law Faculty, what are your future plans? For example, is it necessary, or are you hoping to tie up with other universities to introduce new areas of law? Or if I were to ask, what are your future plans? Faculty?
I have many dreams. One is to bring this law faculty to a greater height than today. And as I stated at the very outset, the premier seat of legal education in the country, which is celebrating the 75th year this year, which was established in 1947. Being the dean, my vision is to bring this law faculty to new height. Probably, if we can be well known as one of the best law schools in Asia, my dream is partly achieved. But I don't want to stop there. We need to go to the gold standard. We need to preserve the good quality education and expand and give as much as possible opportunities to the young minds, young boys and girls in this country to mold their future with legal insights. Chanakya, if you know the law, if you learn the law, which means you have you know how to tackle things, how to manage things in this competitive world, very problematic world, challenging world.
Right. If I were to ask you, give maybe 5 pointers or 10 pointers as to the advice to your students and other students from other universities who are passing out with regard to not only making a career in as an academia, right? Becoming overall career, whatever. What would be those advices in short form?
Overall, as maybe the final message of this conversation, I would appeal the young lawyers and also students who are waiting to complete his or her education. I would say that you have to learn the law, learning the law with a lot of efforts. Please invest that. You have to invest your best effort in learning the law. Second, inculcate dedication, inculcate the habit of hard work. Third, I would say, should be motivated to learn English, to motivate to learn English, because without good language competencies, you will have no future, because the world is at a certain point now, has reached to the point where without good English knowledge, you may not be able to conquer the profession. You may not be able to be a successful lawyer. And maybe perhaps the last 2 points, I would say, anyone who is thinking of doing or reading a law degree should have an open mind, should be an open-minded, because you have many opportunities and must explore all the options and then decide. So maybe motivation, perseverance, hardworking, and abiding interest to learn learn English. And also, I would suggest one more very important quality. That is, you should have positive thinking, hardworking, perseverance, abiding interest to learning English, and new things bring you to a right position, and bring you to a higher level of your career path.
Positive thinking, positive attitude, leadership, and motivation resonating throughout the 10 episodes of Beyond Code Practice lecture series. And to our viewers, young lawyers listening to us, remember, as the Premier Law School's Dean told you just now, like I said earlier, resonates to other speakers as well. In addition to your qualifications, you should have these 3 qualities: positive attitude, leadership, and motivation. You can basically, I think, Sampath, it will be correct to say, with that you can conquer anything. Am I correct?
Yes, sky is the limit. You can achieve your goal, your target. And of course, in today's context, Chanakya, most of the students are wasting their time just for unnecessary things. I think that is also one of the things that we have to avoid, because otherwise the future generation will be technology savvy, but they are less reading, less also their thinking will not be shaped in a proper way. I think you need to read a lot. Being a lawyer or being the law student, you have to read a lot. And I would say, as you rightly pointed out, positive thinking, positive attitudes, leadership, motivation, and other factors taken together bring you to the right place.
Reading maketh a full man, they said, and you just endorse that. Thank you very much,
Absolutely.
Professor Sampath Punchihewa, Dean of the Faculty of Law of Colombo, Senior Lecturer in Commercial Law and so many areas of law. Thank you for taking your time off. I know you had a busy day, and you had everyday busy days, right? And you took your time off to educate us and be a part of this, Sampath. And thank you for joining once again. We hope to see you once again in one of our Bar Association's seminars and webinars we'll be having in the future. And we'd like you to join them as well. Thank you again for joining us.
Yes, must thank the Bar Association, its secretary, and also president, and you, Chanakya, and all the the team for this tremendous effort. And I think it will. I have no doubt. I have no doubt. I'm very confident that you will this program benefited the young lawyers, and they will also in future this program will be remembered that it made a turning point in life. So I think in that sense we must appreciate the great work done by the Bar Association, and thank you so much. And I'm so glad that I had this opportunity to speak.
Thank you very much. And that brings to the conclusion of the 174th episode of the Bar Association webinar series. And it also concludes the 10-episode series of Beyond Court Practice. And tomorrow is going to be the grand finale of this Bar Association webinar series. It's going to be a special one. And tomorrow's webinar is the 175th, like I said, of the webinar series. It's a special webinar on the topic Celebrated Journeys Reaching the Pinnacle. And that will be tomorrow on this same platform. And it will be at 7 p.m. That is 24th March, Thursday, 24th March at 7 p.m. That will be the conclusion of the entire webinar series, the grand finale, and the 175th episode of the BASL webinar series, titled again, Celebrated Journeys Reaching the Pinnacle. Don't miss that out and try to join that. But if you have missed our webinars, all of them are stored and available on YouTube, or if you like to watch them again, you can go to BASL YouTube channel and watch all over again, all the 174 webinars, and tomorrow's one added 175 webinars. And you can also stay in touch with the Bar Association by subscribing to the Bar Association's text messaging and email services for regular updates as what's going to happen in the future. Thank you once again for joining us. I'll see you when I see you. Good night.
Right.